way to tie them into your business, it makes it feel, I hate the word authentic because I know it sounds really like cringy, but you know what I mean? Like it comes across as genuine. Maybe that's the better word to use.
It's more sincere.
Yeah, sincere is perfect. And I think rather than just choosing things like, oh, this is really trendy right now, or this is, you know, a hot topic right now, which is okay too if you're going to actually implement those things. But I think if it means something to you personally, it just, that really comes across in your messaging as well.
No, I would absolutely agree with you. And I think even for the sense of enjoying your own brand as well, you know, for you to have and start a business, most people that would go on to kind of start a business would hopefully kind of pick something they're passionate about, something they enjoy doing, maybe like I done, kind of turn a hobby into a business. But I think if you were to do that and not have your own kind of values and morals kind of integrated into that, or if you have things that are kind of conflicting with your own morals and values, you're really not going to enjoy what you're doing, and your business isn't going to go to the heights that you want it to go to, you know. So I think it's important, not just for kind of transparency with your audience and that sincerity with your audience, but even just for fulfillment in yourself for running and doing your business, you know. I think it's really important.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think, I know that this doesn't relate directly to your business, but you mentioned something before that I've kind of tried my hand at, but not very successfully. And I think I know a lot of people who feel the same way. And it was when you spoke about gratitude journaling, and just getting into that practice of journaling every day. So I wonder if you don't mind, I know it's maybe a little bit more personal than business, but would you share a little bit with us of sort of how, if somebody hadn't done that before but was interested in starting, how you would go about that?
The first thing that I would say is the kind of expectation setter for yourself. Like, so for example, something you said there about kind of doing it every single day. I'll be so honest, I do not do it every single day. I would love to do it every day, but it's, for me, it's, I do it as many days as I can, but I'm not strict on myself, you know. I don't freak out if I've not done it. For me, when it comes to gratitude, and when it comes to the gratitude kind of journaling and scripting and things, as I said before, I'm kind of very much into the universe and spirituality and what's called the law of attraction. So I don't know if you've heard of the law of attraction. Kind of long story short, kind of at the core of it is what you put out, you get back. So if you put out kind of positive vibrations, you get back positive experiences kind of manifested in your reality. If you put out kind of negative thoughts and vibrations, you get those experiences kind of back as well. It's a very, very in-depth kind of concept, and it's something I've been studying. Oh, it's even scary to think about. I've probably been studying it for about 7 or 8 years now. And for me, the kind of gratitude is basically the highest vibration that you can feel and that you can offer to the universe. And there's unlimited frequencies in the universe. If you're kind of sending out that gratitude, you're going to have more things to be grateful for coming back to you. So for me, especially if I'm in a bit of a slump or I'm feeling a little bit kind of something's not right, that's just a kind of foundation that I go back to is my gratitude. Now, I don't have to be feeling that way to do it. Sometimes I'll just kind of open my notebook and I'll talk about how exciting life is. And even though, for example, if I'm facing a lot of challenges, I've kind of had a lot of personal challenges this year. Although I'm kind of facing these things, I'm actually learning from them. I'm learning more about myself. And it's trying to find the positives in things and the lessons in things that we deal with. I'm not much of a subscriber to the whole high vibes or good vibes only. I think that we should kind of acknowledge and embrace all emotions and all vibrations. But for me, doing kind of gratitude journaling, whether you do it daily or weekly, it can be really good to actually just see all the good things that you have in your life. You know, you can go right down to being grateful for the farmer who picked the potatoes that you had for your dinner last night. Or there's so much in the world to be grateful for. And it really does just make you feel so much better, and it really does put you on that kind of high frequency, and you feel better and you feel happy and you feel joyful. So it's just a really nice and mindful practice for me. And obviously kind of from that 9 out of 10 times comes the kind of manifestation as well, which is usually fun.
Oh, that's really cool. I think it's something that I've tried and I've kind of like started with it and done it. Like I've never managed to do it every day, but I've maybe done it like a couple of days this week and then the next week I only
Mm.
do it once and then I kind of let it fall by the wayside. But I think even if you aren't a spiritual person, or even if you kind of don't, you know, you were saying about the law of attraction, even if that's not
Uh,
something that you believe in or that you're interested in or whatever, I think there's so much value in just getting your thoughts out on paper and your feelings out on paper and
mm-hmm.
saying, you know, as you say, trying to find a little bit of positive in the tough bits, but also not saying, not a lack of acknowledgement for the tough feelings either. And
Uh,
I think that's really valuable because I don't know about you, but you know, when you're running a business, you've got a million things on your mind all the time. And as you say, you might have people close to you, whether it's like a partner or family or friends that you can bounce ideas off of. But I feel a lot of the time like things are just like running around and around in my head.
mm-hmm.
And sometimes actually just stopping and writing for 5 or 10 minutes, it really helps to just feel like you've got it all out in the open. So I think that's
Yeah.
something that I'm going to try. And it made me feel way better when you said you don't have to do it every day, because that's where I get really
Yeah.
caught up.
Do you know, for a long time I was the exact same, and I was like, oh, it's not going to be efficient or effective if I don't do it every single day. And then I kind of took a step back and I said to myself, I was like, you're completely defeating the purpose of what you're doing. I like to do it in a way where, if I feel like doing it, or if I have something that I need to get out, as you see, or kind of get it on paper, then I will do it. If I miss a day, it's not the end of the world. You know, I still had a good day, I still had good experiences. I might still have stuff on my mind, but I can kind of work through them. I'll know to do it maybe the next day. But like you say, even for the kind of venting side of things, I find it really beneficial as well. Especially like we touched on earlier on, if you have these where you're maybe comparing yourself to other business owners kind of similar to your industry or business, and you're maybe feeling as if your business isn't doing as well as you think it should or want it to be. So even just getting that, like for me, I love, if I'm kind of in a kind of space like that, I'll just write it all down, I'll get it all out, and then I'll rip the paper out and I'll burn it because it's done. You know, I don't want that those kind of things being left lying about with that kind of energy that comes with it. So I burn it and it's right, I've got it over and done with, it's dealt with. It's kind of ritualistic in a way, but it is that kind of, right, I've got it out, time to move on, doesn't exist anymore, and just kind of start building from there. But I've found it so beneficial over the years.
I love that idea. I love the idea of just being like, right, this is how I'm feeling today, but it's not that it's not real, but it's not that's not what I want to focus on, or that's, you know, that's not the
Mm-hmm.
perspective I want to look at this from, and just burning it. That's a great idea.
Yeah,
Especially with
it's
the
pretty
cold
fun
weather
as
coming up.
well.
Yeah. I'll bet. Oh, I love it. Well, thanks for sharing that. It's kind of interesting to hear what other people do to deal with, I guess, the mental aspects of running a
Mm-hmm.
business. It's always nice to kind
Yeah,
of get some new ideas to try, especially when it involves
yeah,
burning unhappy thoughts. I like that a lot.
yeah. It's pretty brilliant.
Well, you've told us so much about your business and your ethos and your values and the things that have worked really, really well for you. I'm curious now. I ask everybody who comes on the podcast, what is one thing that you sort of learned the hard way, or maybe you wish you could have done differently if you had the knowledge after? I know a lot of business owners will say, oh, there's loads of things I've learned, but if you had to pick just
Yeah,
one.
I think it would probably be kind of what we touched on earlier on about kind of pivoting and that ability to just to kind of adapt quickly to things, you know, especially for example this year with the pandemic. It had been a few months since I'd kind of got my act together and started doing some form of actual business plan, and I had all these ideas, and I was like, this month I'm going to do this, and this is the markets I'm going to go to, and this is how I'm going to do all these things. And then a pandemic hit, and I was like, this isn't in the plan. This isn't meant to happen. So I think for when I kind of went into that kind of state of furlough and kind of wasn't sure what was going on, I obviously wasn't going to have my full-time job income. I didn't know if I was going to be able to keep the business running. And I kind of did freak out for a wee while, and I was just kind of like, this doesn't feel good at all. But what I learned after a few days is, again, it just comes back to kind of being able to adapt and putting that positive spin on it and saying, well, do you know what, it doesn't mean I need to close up shop right away. Let's just see how it goes and just dedicate the time that I have in lockdown to my business and to growing my business. And it has been a much more relaxed process ever since I kind of made that kind of pivot. So for me, I think if I'd maybe learned kind of previously, or had different experiences previously that would have meant I had to do such a pivot or such a change, I think I would have kind of learned a bit more at that point. But the way that I see it, I learned it when I was meant to learn it, and I have that kind of that lesson with me now that I've dealt with. I mean, we've all dealt with a pandemic, and if that doesn't kind of show that we've got the ability to really persevere through business challenges, if we've kind of been able to keep things going. Unfortunately, there have been so many cases where people haven't been able to, and it's been because of kind of circumstances out with their control. But I think for those who have flourished and kind of pushed on and found out, being able to pivot and being able to adapt, I think it's really something to reflect on, that it says a lot about people as well,
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's actually a really good one to bring up, because sometimes things just happen, and whether or not it feels like the right time, or, whether or not you kind of panic at first, but then you actually learn something from it. We've all been there this year with the pandemic. And you're right, it's absolutely forced everyone to go, oh, right, life is what happens when you're busy making plans, and sometimes you just have to adapt, and you do the best you can. And I mean, I will admit, I've had some days where I felt super discouraged and like, oh my God, we're never going to come out of this. We're never going to, I've definitely had those days. And, obviously it's been really hard being a service-based business for, I couldn't work for 4 or 5 months, and then I could really only work in a limited capacity. And it's looking like perhaps that could be the case again, even more limited. But I think you're right. If you just kind of learn to adapt, and realistically, we've made it this far, we'll find a way to make it through the next stages, and however long it takes. And it's maybe not the most fun lesson to learn, but it is a lesson to learn that if you have to, you can pivot and you can adapt, and you will if you want it bad enough, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like you say, it maybe isn't the most fun lesson to learn, and the experiences that some of us have gone through to learn some of the lessons haven't really been all that nice. But I'm quite a firm believer in, it's called going through it because you get through it, so as much as we might be uncomfortable and in a space that we don't like just now, you can't grow in your comfort zone. So we're all being kind of pushed right out of our comfort zones, right out of what we're used to. All of our plans have gone out the window, and we just need to kind of see where we can take it, But I think it does help to kind of have that mindset of kind of saying, you know what, whatever will be, and it'll whatever will happen when it needs to happen,
Yeah, and I think it's been really inspiring seeing the ways that people are doing new things. Like, I mean, I've seen people that completely changed the scope of their business, or did something that they never thought they would do before, or maybe shifted their focus to an area that before was like a really tiny part of what they did, and now it's become, the kind of big picture for them. And it has been really, I think every time I've had a day where I've been like, oh, what am I going to do? I've seen somebody make a bigger change than I feel like I would have to make, and it's really encouraged me. So that's been really good, is just seeing how everybody got creative. And it seems like, if I have a bad day, maybe a handful of, the business owners that I follow online or who I'm close with or whatever, maybe that's their good day, and that's really helped me kind of get out of a funk. And it's good. It really helps to have a bit of a network, even if it's only online right now, just to know that other people are kind of going through the same thing or a similar thing.
Especially, and again, it's kind of touching on this a similar point of, especially being kind of a kind of solo business person, because I mean, I said to Kelly, obviously from the Business Collective Scotland, a couple of weeks ago, I said, I'm not massively active on the group. I'm a little bit shy. I just tend to kind of lurk. I don't really post a lot. I just kind of keep an eye. And she ended up saying to me, she was like, hey, listen, like, kind of chat away. Everybody's going to be the same. But you don't really realise it when you're not kind of talking or networking, as you say, out with that kind of virtual land or kind of virtual world. You don't really notice that other people are feeling the same, or that people are feeling overwhelmed by everything that's going on. And like, you kind of wonder, am I doing my business right? I mean, I made a choice during lockdown to reduce my posting to once a week, because obviously I was kind of shielding myself. I didn't want to be going to the post office every day, and I didn't think it would be good for kind of stop the spread and things as well. So I had to decide, right, I'm going to do it once a week, and my mum would be going up to the post office anyway, so she would take everything up for me. But in my head, I'm kind of like, is this the right thing to do? Is this normal? Is this, do you know, and you do kind of second guess yourself sometimes. But